We're brewing, guys. We are brewing. So I've just chucked in about 3 litres of water along with some ingredients. Find out what those ingredients are shortly. Just mixing it all together and waiting for it to come up to the boil. Just watching a bit of Craig Tube, who's actually casting on Vaughan Live tonight. Interesting. But anyway, gotta be careful because I've got my sanitised stuff all around here, so a bit precarious, but we're doing the trick. Rightio. Recipe. Well, I'm using the website called brewtubetech.com. So this is the Candi Red IPA. Hey, so what do we got? We've got liquid malt extract, light stuff, 2.9 kilos. We've got maple syrup, 1 kilo. Scratch that, no, not maple syrup, it's golden syrup. 1 kilo of golden syrup. So now where I got maple from. We've got 360 grams of dextrose, which is corn sugar, and 330 grams of corn syrup. We have 200 grams of honey, and we're using 50 grams of chocolate malt grain, which I steeped at about 80 degrees or so for probably a better part of 20-30 minutes. And then we just chuck all of that in the boil, and we're going to boil that 30 minutes. The next step, of course, is hopping. That's going to be a very sweet beer. So, pot's making a funny noise. Better give that a quick stir, eh? We'll get to hop shortly. Don't want that stuff burning. Right. Hops. Sorry. We've got Zythos, 40 grams, 30 minutes. We've got Cascade, US, 50 grams, 15 minutes. We've got Zythos again, this time 10 grams, 15 minutes. We've got Cascade, US, 50 grams for 5 minutes, and then a Zythos 50 gram addition for 5 minutes. That is going to give us apparently 69 IBUs, and what I'm hoping for is just a slightly bitter beer, and it really needs to come up over top of all the sweet leftover flavours from the honey and the golden syrup and of course the malt. So hopefully that sorts it out. The chocolate in there is kind of an experiment. I want to try and get kind of a dark red sort of IPA looking thing, so hopefully that contributes a bit of darkness just to give it a bit of an edge. Just got to stir this again. It's going to taste pretty sweet and, well, maybe caramelly. The idea is to get this beer quite caramelly, kind of candy-ish, hence the name Candi Red IPA. But what do we got here? We've got an original gravity of possibly 1061 and a final gravity of 1009. That's our predicted anyway. 69 IBUs, about 6.8% ABV, 1.14 IBUs per original gravity. So they reckon it'll be very bitter. We're using just a basic sort of Cooper's yeast. I pretended I'm using US-05 just for the sake of getting some numbers, so they're very rough. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'll carry on with it, and we'll see how we go. Alrighty, so we're in full swing now. Boiling. I've added my 40 grams of Zythos, and at 11:45 PM, good lord, we'll be adding our cascade. So, all happening. Well, I thought I'd just mention a couple of things. So, basically I'm only doing a half an hour boil, 30 minutes. So, the reason is because I just want it to be a quick beer. I'm working mainly with kind of, what's the term, I guess volatile kind of ingredients, so you know the hops and things, I want to get like the most flavour and aroma off them. The golden syrup and the honey, I believe if you boil them for too long you lose some of the flavours and aromas off them as well, so I want to keep the boiling to a minimum. The chocolate malt, because of its malting or kilning process, I guess, it's been kind of roasted up, and a lot of the S-methylmethionine in the grain has turned into dimethyl sulfide or DMS, and that in turn has evaporated off. Well, most of it anyway, because it's a darker malt, opposed to the lighter malts, which, you know, the DMS hangs around, and you do need to do a full boil for those, but because it's a darker malt, I think we only need about 30 minutes and all that should boil off. So that should work all well, hand in hand, and smells nice. Alrighty, so I just dumped in 100 grams of hops. Not much of a hop break actually. In fact, I made this really cool technique of when it did start to come up, I give it a real good stir up and let it go, and I know it just seemed to compact down. So what have we got? About 2 minutes left in the boil. I've got that guy ready to go, ready to lift off. Use that to sieve the hops and mix it up once we've topped up with water. The idea is to get this guy straight into here, and while it's in there it'll be cooling down, only for a couple of minutes mind you, and I'll get all this sussed out. Well, we had the old brewtubetech special where we have very hot wort, and we top up the fermenter a bit quick and end up with the wort being way too hot. So I think it's sitting about 32, 34 at the moment. It's all in the fermenter. There's 23 litres, it's topped up. So I'm going to leave it outside overnight, and first thing in the morning I'll pitch that yeast and we'll get cracking. So I'll do a little film then and see how we go. Oh yeah, totally forgot. Went out for a massive bike ride this morning, came back and chucked the yeast in and chucked it out in the garage, turned on the temperature controller and all that, so I'm sorry I forgot to film it. But one thing to note, which changes the name completely, is it's more of a brown ale. It's really not red at all. Smells awesome though. One thing I also ended up doing was, because I had the sieve ready to catch the hops as I was tipping the boiling pot into the fermenter, and well, the hops just clogged the sieve so quickly that I couldn't actually put anything through it, so I decided just to screw it, just tipped it all into the fermenter, and therefore kind of get a little bit of a dry hopping from the really late sort of 5-minute hops. Oh, bread maker's turning on. Ooh, bread. The other food that uses yeast. Yeah, so brown ale it is. Really hoppy brown ale, hopefully. So I'll leave it out in the garage for probably 2 or 3 weeks maybe, just to give it a nice settle period. Towards the end I will crank up the fridge and get that chilling it way the hell down, because I want everything to just drop out so that I can keg this one. Yeah, pretty keen to have this one kegged, apart from maybe 4 or 5 litres. We'll see how that goes. So that's it really. Now we wait. Cheers guys, have a good one.